The way we look at goals, number one, they should be crazy. Like, you have to declare your goal from a place of having absolutely no idea how you're going to get there. And then I set a gigantic, audacious goal based on who I say that I am. And then when you get all the way down to the why behind your doing it, the why for us is very simple. It's because I said I would.
Welcome to Spartan Up. We started Spartan because we wanted to get people fit. We want to rip them off the couch. We want to make them more resilient, throw some adversity their way, some obstacles. And Spartan Up is no different. This podcast brings a bunch of high-performing people that we could all learn from, that we can gain some motivation from, that might inspire us. Today, I interviewed someone who founded something called Unbreakable Leadership, right? Sounds like our kind of person. His name is Tyler Jack Harris. Now, here's what's interesting about him. He talks about waging a war of personal change, right? And how he sets big, audacious goals and how we can do the same. By the way, we have a new program called Spartan Resilience Academy. It teaches a lot of these same principles. Tyler is going to be presenting some of those lessons there as well. So we'd love to have you join us, right? Stay till the end of this thing because I want to review and make sure you got as much out of this as I did, because I think this guy is a superstar and he's got some things that I wasn't thinking of, quite honestly, that I've applied to my business and my life.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wild Alaskan Company. With wild caught and sustainable seafood delivered right to your door, it's never been easier to access the best seafood that Alaska and the Pacific Northwest has to offer. Go to wildalaskancompany.com and enter the promo code SPARTAN on checkout to save $25 off your first order.
Spartans, we're here for Spartan Up Podcast. Let's get into it. You are my hero. I know you very long here, but usually you don't see somebody that's crushing it in business also crushing it in the endurance scene. And I always thought that they would go hand in hand, because if you could get your mind tough enough doing these incredible physical challenges, it would just make business easier.
That's the reason why I've done the difficult things that I've done, for sure, was for that to be a training ground for the mental capacity that it takes to succeed in the other areas. Something my business partners and I have said for years is that if you seek discomfort, the world delivers you pleasure. And then the opposite of that is probably more true and more prevalent in our society, is that if you seek comfort, the world will deliver you pain. And I think we're in the middle of a situation right now over the last few months where the world has delivered enough chaos and enough drama and stress and struggle for people that I just want to be someone that's going out and seeking those things intentionally. So when the world delivers it to me, I can breeze right past that because it's nothing. But whether it's a death race or whether it's doing any type of Spartan event, to get people outside of their comfort zones and get people to that place where they get to the end of themselves and really find out what they're capable of. I've just become obsessed with putting myself in those positions.
Yeah. I want to get into the kids' death race for a minute, and then I want to talk about how the hell you sold 8,000 policies, 14 days. This is the hardest event. And Marion, who's behind the scenes right now, she has seen over the last 15 plus years the crazy events I put on here, the torture I provide to people, Olympians, Navy SEALs, Green Berets, you name it. Moms, monks, and nothing that I have done, I'm telling you right now, nothing that I have done to people over the last 15, 20 years compares to what I did to these kids. Don't tell their parents for the last 14 days. And I figured out why, and you'll appreciate this. They can't quit.
Yeah.
What are they going to do?
Sure.
Right? They have no wallets. They have no phones. I took their phones. They have no cars. What are they going to do? They have no plan B.
I love that.
Right? And so they don't know it, but they're resilient because they have no choice. And so maybe that's a lesson for us adults.
100% is. We say all the time that, that the safety net is the most dangerous thing that you have. That when you get to a place where there's no contingency plan, those are the stories that everybody wants to see. Like when it has to work, like when you have to do it, you don't truly find out what you're capable of until there isn't a plan B.
Yeah. There's one of our drill sergeants here, call him a drill sergeant, military veteran who has been really barking at the kids for these 14 days. Said, the first contact, any plan falls apart at first contact. And so I'm trying to teach the kids that, like, look, we could have a great plan, we could have everything detailed, but as soon as the gun goes off, it's all hell breaks loose. And so you've got to have the mindset, right, to
Yep.
fight through all the unanticipated disruptions, everything that can go wrong.
Yep. Yeah. And that my business partner is a 23-year Navy SEAL. And so much of what he talks about SEAL training is just that it's eliminating any option of success. So run from here to there. When you get there, you're going to have to run somewhere else or do something else difficult. And you take success or completion completely off the table. And then what you're left with is the opportunity for someone to choose whether or not they're going to honor their excuses, honor all the reasons why they shouldn't do it, or whether or not they're going to honor their word and just do what they said they were going to do. And for me, that's been integral in the success of our business because we put all of our employees, all of our agents into that environment where, hey, you can either set this audacious goal and you can either go after it and accomplish it, or you can just succumb to all the excuses that are already there. And there's plenty of reasons not to. And, are you going to choose to honor those excuses or will you choose to honor your word? And I just want to be surrounded by people that choose to honor their word in any scenario.
Is that so? You guys, you use this term unbreakable leadership. Is that what this is?
Yeah. So we just launched this new initiative called Unbreakable Leadership. And to me, the importance behind the term unbreakable is the fact that in order to be unbreakable, you have to be broken. And I would say you need to go through a process where you're intentionally seeking out ways to become broken on a regular basis so that when life delivers things that could break you, it won't. But I think anyone that could stand and say that they are unbreakable has been through many periods of time where they were completely broken. And it's that process of putting yourself back together, or just in a race when you get to that place where you're completely broken and being willing to take one more step and one more step and one more step is where you build that resilience and you build that mental fortitude to where there's nothing you can't accomplish. Because when you realize that when you realize that you're mentally capable of going far past where you're physically capable, then what's available to you? Everything.
I agree with that. What do you do? What do you do when times are good? Do you practice adversity? Do you suggest that?
So that's where we look at seeking that discomfort out. And that's really where it came from. I got to a place in my life where I had had a few years of increased success and things were going really well. And then all of a sudden I woke up one morning almost in a panic attack because things were getting too comfortable. And I began really getting very uncomfortable with being comfortable. And that was very new for me. And so it started with different physical activities, but different things like I'm real big on Wim Hof breathing method and cold water experiences, and did 2 ultramarathons last year within a 7-day period of time after having ran 7 miles as my furthest run of my life on a 36-hour Wim. I ran a 29.6-mile race, and then a week later ran a 31.2-mile race. And so different things like that, putting myself in positions that were extremely uncomfortable and that pushed me further than I had ever gone before, but mentally prepared me for anything else that could come down the road. I think it's when you are experiencing success and when life is good that you have to seek out these things intentionally, because life is going to happen to you and bad things are coming. And so if you can constantly be callousing yourself and learning how to deal with adversity, even if you're bringing that adversity on yourself, it's going to prepare you for when you really need adversity in the real world.
And by the way, I think you would agree with this. And I love that, by the way, because it's obviously exactly in alignment with everything we stand for and preach. We don't have it that bad, even when we have it bad. Even though we're running 2 ultra marathons in a week or standing in a cold shower, like, there are a lot of people on the planet that have it a lot worse, right? So
Yep.
really, we have no reason to complain
Completely. Yeah.
about it.
I mean, the things that we complain about, other people are all over the world are praying for. And I think that's a
That's
reality.
the one I want to dive into because in the first, sorry to keep coming back to the kids' death race, but in my peripheral vision here, as I'm talking to you, I'm seeing the kids get ready for the final 20 hours. And so it's top of mind for me, but leadership is also parenting. And so you just gave me a thought, which is, I got a lot of phone calls from the parents in the first 3 days that were upset with me. And they were upset because their children were texting and saying, "This is crazy, mom and dad. This guy's nuts. This is not fun. You got to pick me up. You got to talk to him. They're not speaking to me nicely." And so I think we got parenting.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about that?
Oh, 100%. I mean, we've we have quickly found ourselves in a situation where the reality is most kids are being coddled. They're not experiencing difficult things. And I'm a parent. I've got a 3-year-old daughter, and even at 3 years old, I find myself wanting to protect and wanting to keep her from harm. But then I'll step back sometimes and I'll think like, take the most simple example possible. She's jumping on the couch. I don't want her to jump on the couch because I don't want her to get hurt. But what I do know is that if she jumps on the couch and falls down and gets hurt, she probably won't jump on the couch again. So there's part of me that says, "Hey, quit jumping. I need you to be careful." But there's also part of me that hopes she falls, gets hurt, but not bad, but bad enough to where she knows that, hey, maybe that's not a good thing for me to do. But the reality is jumping on the couch for a lot of people is way more serious things that we're dealing with as children and adolescents that they need to go through to get stronger and to grow in who they are and their resiliency and their determination and their work ethic and all those things that you can't train in a vacuum. Like you have to allow bad things to happen. It's very easy as a parent to not want to see your kids go through pain. But when you truly understand what a teacher pain is, then there's a little bit of room for that discomfort in their life.
I mean, basically what you're saying is it's hard to learn. It's hard to learn if you don't go through it yourself. If somebody's always there, like I say in business, like if you raise a ton of money, it's actually going to hurt you.
Oh yeah.
Because you got that safety net. So people have to feel some pain. You were feeling pain and you went from like 0 to, what'd you sell? 8,000 policies or some crazy number? Like what's a normal salesperson do?
Yeah, so in the life insurance industry, if you took the average career full-time life insurance agent, they sell between 100 and 150 policies a year. And so I sold a little over 8,000 policies in 3.5 years. And those were one-on-one, face-to-face. I met with every single one of those people across a table. None of them were, big group policies where you bring on a big company and there's 500 right there. Or none of them were done online or even over the phone. Every single one of them was done one-on-one in person.
So what you went from fire station to fire station, from a precinct to precinct, and sat with uniform services and basically just said, look, like what was the technique? If people are listening right now and they want to up their game, what was it?
We'll be right back to the interview, but first I want to talk to you a little bit about Wild Alaskan Company. One of the things we're always talking about is the importance of eating good, clean food, and we don't always have time to do it the way we'd like to. Well, that's where Wild Alaskan Company comes in. They offer consistent access to clean protein that makes it easy to cook healthy, delicious meals at home. They have curated boxes with wild fish like sockeye salmon, coho salmon, halibut, Pacific cod, and rockfish. But you don't have to know about the fish. They have a team of personal fishmongers ready to help you and a 100% satisfaction guarantee. Think about that. Good, ready-to-cook individual portions shipped to your doorstep of fresh, clean, healthy foods. And guess what? It should come as no surprise to you that studies have shown you can get a variety of health benefits from eating wild-caught seafood twice a week. We know how important it is to know where your food's coming from. This is sustainable seafood from Alaska and the Pacific Northwest. Wild Alaskan Company has no order minimums, 100% satisfaction guarantee, and guess what? We have a special deal just for our Spartan Up audience. You can save $25 off your first order just by entering the code SPARTAN when you check out. So one more time, Wild Alaskan Company specializes in premium, wild-caught, sustainable seafood in ready-to-cook portions. It delivers them directly to your doorstep. And just for Spartan Up listeners, save $25 off that first order by entering the code SPARTAN. That's wildalaskancompany.com and the code SPARTAN. All right, back to the interview.
So what, you went from fire station to fire station, from a precinct to precinct, and sat with uniform services and basically just said, look, uh, uh, like, what was the technique? If people are listening right now and they want to up their game, what was it?
Most people try to be all things to all people, and they end up being nothing to no one. So they've got a bunch of different products, a bunch of different people that they're trying to target or market to. And the more narrow you can get in your focus, the more narrow that niche is. So if you look at real estate, for example, don't try to buy, sell, represent both sides, all kinds of areas of town, all kinds of houses. Like, get narrowly focused on, hey, on the east side of Greenville, South Carolina, single story brick homes, first time home buyers from 100 to 200,000. I'm an expert in that space. And when you get that narrowly focused, you can then build a system that makes you insanely efficient in reaching those people. Because with us, when we chose first responders to work with, we had a mission, to serve those that put themselves in harm's way. And that's a huge part of who we are. But then narrowing our focus to where we only meet with those people and attract those people, we know them better than they know themselves. And that's not a sales tactic. That, to me, is the ultimate form of respect. It's no different than me speaking to someone that's Spanish speaking, and I'm talking to them in German, trying to figure out why they don't understand what I'm saying. You have to understand the people that you're serving better than they understand themselves. That way you can get them to a buying decision. If what you have is in their best interest, get them to a buying decision as quickly as possible. And so really it's that clear focus and that narrow focus that's allowed us to build a system that's extremely efficient. But yeah, other than that, it's just nothing more than just a disgusting amount of work ethic that goes into that. I mean, I had 238 nights in a hotel my last year, over 200 nights in a hotel, all 3.5 years. 14, 16, 18-hour days. I walked into a detention center at a sheriff's office one morning at 5 a.m. and left at 7 a.m. the next day. Sold a lot of life insurance, but there's no easy way to work a 27-hour day or 26-hour day. So I think it's narrowed focus, but then inserting massive amounts of effort into where you are focused.
When you laid out the efficiency plan, you laid out the narrow focus plan, but then, I've heard it from Olympians, right? Where they write this big audacious goal you're talking about on the wall. 3 years earlier, was that the goal? 8,000 policies? Did you know how ridiculous that was? And did your partner look at you and say you're nuts?
Yeah, it was an annual goal at that time, and the annual goal was to hit 2,500 policies a year. And the way we look at goals, number one, they should be crazy. Like, you have to declare your goal from a place of having absolutely no idea how you're going to get there. And a lot of this with us and what we do with Unbreakable Leadership is get people to understand who they are. Like, who am I in regards to my ability to build wealth? And then I set a gigantic, audacious goal based on who I say that I am. And then when you get all the way down to the why behind you're doing it, the why for us is very simple. It's because I said I would. So why are you going to sell 2,500 policies? Because I said I would. It's that simple. It's not something like, because I'm passionate about this and I want to provide for my family and I want to serve. No, it's just, why is because I said so. And when you get to that point where you can operate at a high level simply by, and that is just simply by honoring your word and saying, I said I would do this and I refuse to not honor my word and saying that, then it just puts you in a completely different headspace where external factors just no longer carry much weight in regards to excuses and emotions that pop up along the way as to why you would or would not be able to do it. I said I would do it, so I'm going to do it.
I think back again, I keep going back to the kids' death race. Yesterday, I lined all the kids up and I said, step forward if you want out. You could basically tap out right now, ring the bell before we go into tomorrow, the final test. And one kid started to step forward and he started crying. He couldn't hold back the tears and his lips were quivering. And I said, Henry, what's going on? And he said, I want to quit, but I don't. And he couldn't reconcile, he's going back and forth. Well, why don't you want to? Because I said I would finish. And here's a kid 11 years old, right?
That's awesome.
And so this is innate, what we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
And it's really annoying when somebody doesn't care if they're going to be doing something contrary to their word. So I love that you said that, like, because I said I would.
Yeah, I think we live in a society where most people don't honor their word, and most importantly, don't honor their word to themselves. It's one thing, to not honor your word to other people. I think that's probably at the very base level of human existence. But where most people fall is in the way that they talk to themselves, and the way that they don't honor the word to themselves. And I think that carries a lot more weight, especially when you look at the ramifications that that has down the road, because anything that you go after, there are going to be obstacles. It may not be COVID-19, it may not be situations that we're dealing with right now, but we've been in chaos for a long time, and not just the past 3 or 4 months, and chaos is always going to be there. But if you can get to a place in your head mentally where you're going to continue to do the things that you said you were going to do regardless of the circumstances, and good things will happen every single time.
It reminds me, I in my life, I've never checked the weather ever. And it's not something like I'm bragging and saying, it just never occurred to me that why I'm going out either way.
Yeah.
Doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Right. And I think that's
Absolutely.
what you're saying. Like,
Yeah. I know. And that to me, like, once you are at a place where you are mentally tough, to a degree of mental toughness, then it almost becomes fun. Like, I almost check the weather to see if it might be a little bit more difficult. Like, hey, is it going to rain? Oh, it's not going to rain till 8. Well, I'll wait a little bit and then go run later, because you want things to be more comfortable. We want things to be more uncomfortable. Um, I just did a trip in Utah with a group of guys a couple of months ago, where we climbed a mountain in shorts, no shirt, no pants. It was 32 degrees outside and snowing. And we were checking the weather hoping that it would snow, because we're like, man, we're going to be out there with our shirts off anyways, we're going to be climbing this. I'd love for snow to be coming down as well. Like, let's make this extra difficult, because you only have so many opportunities in your life to experience that type of training ground for the future. And so the more difficult it can be, the better you're being trained and groomed for the things that are coming in your life down the road. And for me to be adequately prepared for that, I need it to be the absolute worst case scenario every single time. If it's something that I'm choosing to do, I mean, I don't necessarily want the things that are delivered to me be the worst case scenario, but the things that I'm going out to do, that I'm setting out intentionally to do, I want to make those the worst case scenario, because that's practice.
yeah, I forget who it was. We have a big community, about 7 million Spartans, and then now another 3 million Tough Mudders. And some of them obviously I've become good friends with, and they're able to text me. And one of them texted me and said, "Hey man, I'm sorry I've been out of touch. I broke my arm." And I just wrote back, "That's great."
What does it have to do with running?
Because I sent that text to 40 people. You're the only one that said that's great.
That's
You're
awesome.
alive, man. It's good.
That's
So
awesome.
it really is a mindset.
Yeah.
Um,
And really, that's what I love about what you guys are doing, because you guys are giving people the opportunity to go do that on a weekend, to go spend, 48 hours getting themselves completely out of their comfort zone, stretching themselves. And there's not a lot of companies that are out there fully focused on creating those type of spaces and experiences for people to become the best versions of themselves. I mean, that's what you guys are doing, which is incredible.
Hey, question for you. Let's go to the audience, right? The audience is out there. I get this all the time. I'm sure you get it. All right, I get the name Unbreakable Leadership, but I'm not motivated. I'm kind of afraid to put a big audacious goal out there because I might not hit it. Give us step by step on how somebody gets after it and gets this to happen.
Yeah, so I think something that I believe that we do differently is, again, we focus initially on who are you. I think really anybody right now, if you just ask them, like, who are you really? Like who are you? I am blank. They'll probably fill that with a lot of things that they do, maybe what they do for work, maybe they're a father. But when you think of who you are, that declaration statement is so powerful in your identity. And then we base that big audacious goal off of that identity. So if I say for my physical life that I'm an ultra runner, then what are the activities that I would do every day that would be so blatantly obvious that that's who I am? So that when people say, "Hey man, what, like, why did you run 12 miles last night? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Your answer is simply, well, because I'm an ultra runner. What else would I do? And so that's an easy example with an ultra runner, but what does that look like for a leader in business? What does that look like for a father? What does it look like for a mother? What does it look like in all the other areas of your life? But whatever that identity is, you're declaring it from a place, you're declaring it from zero, right? So like if you go back to the Bible, God said, let there be light. He said that into a void, into a darkness. He was light. He declared light. He declared it from nothing. So we're declaring and setting these goals from a place of having no earthly idea how we're actually going to accomplish it. But we become that identity of that person who can create that action plan to actually get to where we want to go. We start that plan 2 weeks after you've already accomplished it. Because the reality is, let's just say it's a big race. Let's say it's an ultra marathon. And we say, I'm going to run an ultra marathon on October 1st. If you don't have a plan in place for how you're going to recover on October 2nd, then chances are you aren't really planning on running it October 1st. So if we plan that all the way out to 2 weeks after the goal is hit and work our way back, then we can figure out very simply, okay, that's the goal. Here's what I need to do each week. And you know exactly what you're supposed to do and you can follow that. The other key thing for us though is having partners. And we recommend having 6 partners for each one of your goals. And those partners can come in at different times, but people that are giving you things and holding you accountable to things, and then people that are helping you with things that you're already doing. And when you look at like a ultra running as an example, these things aren't just like a running coach. It could be your chiropractor, your massage therapist, a nutritionist, but you're going to have a running coach. You're going to have someone that maybe is training with you, but that you have a team around you that are all committed to your goal as much as you are committed to that goal as well. And once you put that team in place, you have that action plan, which details out which partner is involved in which of those activities that you're doing on a daily basis. And then from all of that complexity, we just boil it down to 3 simple things, which is offense, defense, and strategic. So what's one thing offensively that I have to do today to get me closer to that goal? What's one thing on the defense? And then the strategic is looking at everything holistically and how it's all connected. But it really allows you to take something that's extremely complex, a huge audacious goal, and break it down to weekly, daily. What are the simple things that I need to accomplish each day? And once I accomplish those things, then I'm done. And for me in my life, I went through a period of time where I never felt done. I never felt like I woke up every morning and I felt like I was rushed, behind, late, behind, just like I woke up and I was like, late to what? Like, what am I rushed for? Like, I don't have a meeting that I'm late physically to. So why do I feel so rushed? It's because I was just doing more and more and more and more and more, not having specific goals that I was going after with an actual action list that I knew, okay, today I got to do these 3 things. And as long as I get those things done, I can rest my head on my pillow tonight and say, okay, I completed what I needed to complete today. Today was a successful day. I just never had that. And so that created a lot of chaos in my life. And by simplifying things down to these 3 simple things that we do every day, it really gave me a lot of freedom. But it gave me so much more peace of mind because now I'm not waking up in instant chaos. Like I'm waking up and I'm attacking life. Life is not attacking me. And I think with anything in business or in your physical life, the more simple that you can make it, the more you can simplify things, the more powerful the results are going to be. And so we just try to take complex topics and complex goals and break them down to the very, very simple things that have to be accomplished on a daily basis.
It's like, let's just use the example. How are you going to run those 30 miles? 1 mile at a time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You cannot focus on the 30 miles. It's just too much.
Yeah. And I think one big thing for me is the physical side of it, which is the reason why I love what you guys are doing. The physical side of human performance is the biggest carryover into every other area of your life. When that slides, everything slides. But more importantly, when you start picking up your physical life and when you start doing these things on a daily basis to push yourself physically, every single other area of your life gets better, period. And that's encouraging for anyone out there because we're not talking about elite level athletes. We're talking about a stay-at-home mom. We're talking about a teacher. We're talking about a plumber. If you just start doing simple things, just move your body for 45 minutes in a day. if you do that for a couple of days in a row, things are going to get better around you. Your confidence level, your energy level, the way you show up is going to be completely different than the person that's not able to get up and move their body. The reality is, though, people think that they have to all of a sudden become some athlete or join some gym and start doing all these, complicated exercises and work out for 2 hours and eat 5 times a day. It's like, no, just go outside and walk today for an hour, and then maybe jog tomorrow, and then maybe walk the next day, and see if you don't feel better, and see if it doesn't carry over into your business and into your relationships and your intellectual and spiritual life. And to me, it's just, it starts with physical every time, and it usually ends with physical as well.
I love it. I love it. I was in a bad car accident, and I'll tell you this story, and then we'll wrap it up. But I was in a bad car accident, 2004, I believe. I was thrown out the window, 85 miles an hour. My leg was ripped out of my hip.
Jeez.
And I went to a bunch of doctors. Most doctors said, hey, you're not going to be able to run again. You're not going to be able to do this. One doctor said, you got to get blood flow to the hip. And really, it got me to really understand this idea. Anytime I have anything going on anywhere in my body with anything, I got to get blood flow there. And so that's really what you're saying. You got to move, because if you're not moving blood around, it's like not moving water around in a pool. It turns black.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. And it doesn't take much. And that's the thing that's the thing that people don't realize. There's this idea that if I can't go get a 90-minute workout in, I'm not going to go at all. It's ridiculous. Right. Like, just go outside and walk for 30 minutes and you're going to feel better.
And 30 minutes probably turns into 90 minutes anyway, because you're already out there. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
And so the wrap up is, and you tell me if I got it right, but don't take a shotgun approach, take a rifle approach, hone in, become an expert at something, right? Yeah. Define your story, yourself, like create your own story. Just because you have some story today doesn't mean you can't rewrite that story.
Sure.
Right. And then honor that story.
Yep.
That's who you are. Throw a big goal up on the wall and then do it, because you don't want to be like, you want to have integrity.
Yeah. And that is the definition of integrity to me, is the willingness and ability to honor your word regardless of the circumstances.
I love it. Well, I'm looking at complete chaos out there. And the good news is, during our conversation, I swear to God, but I don't know if you could see it. Can you see what happened? The clouds just rolled in. So they knew that we were doing Death Race for Kids, and they were going to give me terrible weather.
It's the ideal scenario.
I love this idea of like, what is your why? And he responds with, because you said you would, because I said I would. I got a funny story. I just held a kids' death race on the farm in Vermont, as you know, because him and I were talking about that. And I was showing the kids some videos to try to inspire them, because many of them wanted to quit. And we got to this place, thanks to Tyler, where we started saying that. The kids started chanting, like, even when it sucks, I do it anyway. Why am I doing it? Because I said I would. And here were these little 11 and 12-year-old kids saying, I thought, my God, if more adults, if more of us did that, we would get a lot more done in life. We'd quit a lot less. So it's so simple, but it's so powerful, right? The other thing is, I've been mentioning setting big, audacious goals for, 30 years. And people think I'm crazy. So I'm glad there's somebody else out there that's crazy. And I want to hear from you. Like, did this change the way you think about your goals? Like, your goals shouldn't be gimmies. They should not be so, you shouldn't set the bar so low that it's just easy for you to hop over. It should be like a stretch, because my feeling has always been, if you don't hit the target, you still hit something that was way out of range, right? That got you somewhere closer to your big goal. So I'm a big believer in that, and hopefully you are too. I want you to put some comments in the comment section. I want you to share this with some friends. I'd love to hear your thoughts on setting big, audacious goals, right? And then SRA. We talk about SRA, Spartan Resilience Academy. Like, it is designed for business professionals. Why? I've been doing business for 40 plus years, and I am shocked at how many folks get one side of their life correct or the other side correct. Either they're really focused on health and wellness and their business falls to shit, or they're really focused on business and their health and wellness falls to shit. And so I just feel like they should be married, business and health and wellness. And anybody I know that takes care of themselves well tends to take care of their business well, and they take care of everything else in their life well. So So I don't know. Spartan Resilience Academy is an attempt to bring all that together under one roof. It's basically training on mindset from elite competitors, from Olympians, from military folks, from business leaders that focus on both sides of their life, right? It is expert led. You're going to love this. You're going to learn a lot of resilience tips and strategies. Because I always learn one too when I listen to these men and women. I always get some little nugget that I could apply to my life. So thanks for joining. Make sure you comment. Make sure you share. Check out Spartan Resilience Academy and do it because you said you would.
This episode of Spartan Up is brought to you by Wild Alaskan Company. With wild caught and sustainable seafood delivered right to your door, it's never been easier to access the best seafood that Alaska and the Pacific Northwest has to offer. Go to wildalaskancompany.com and enter the promo code SPARTAN on checkout to save $25 off your first order.